This is not a ride-sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride-sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're going to be talking about the obvious elephant in the room, and that is indeed President Trump, his entire call for a protest in New York City does not seem as though it has materialized. As you see, the program is going to be titled, Is There a Reason for American Citizens, the voters, the constituents, is there a legitimate reason to fear MAGA? Not necessarily President Trump, but that certainly will be part of the discussion. But is there a legitimate reason to fear supporters of the president? We all have a right to assemble, a right to protest. It's part of your First Amendment freedom of speech rights. Nevertheless, as you may be aware, the city of New York notified its entire police force to be on alert, ready to be deployed at any given time. Was that necessary? Is there a reason to fear MAGA? Or is this overblown, hyped over nothing? Now, President Trump has stated that this is the chance to take your country back. He's made it clear that they are not after him. They are after you and I, and he simply is in the way. So I want to ask you folks, based on what you have seen, Trump's been around 2015. Here it is 2023. So you're talking roughly 8 years. Is there a reason to fear supporters of President Trump? That's what we're talking about. Looking in the comments, straight out, blocked says, I don't know who the hell is that. Somebody is blocking yours truly. Told you're crooked. Yeah. Why wouldn't they? January 6th won't happen again. This has nothing to do with you. What about the notion that you are free to protest? Part of your First Amendment free speech. So I'm asking that question. By the way, as always, this program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Don't let the name dispel you. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. It always helps the algorithms, brings in more MAGA. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program any day of the week. I make it clear I do not block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. The fact that you may disagree with the host never means a damn thing here. I'll give you plenty of time in the box to state your point without fear of being censored or banned. So is there a reason to fear MAGA? Now, on January 6th, there are folks who argued that suggested Nancy Pelosi's job was to send in the National Guard. I understand folks on the other side said that that was not her job, but rather the job of others. Nevertheless, you don't send in the National Guard to deal with a bunch of unicorns and pansies. You send in the National Guard because you fear there may be some sort of a threat. Is there a reason to fear MAGA? Because right now, the entire police force in New York City has been placed on alert should something happen, that they all can be activated at once. I'm going to assume that means canceling vacations, requests for time off and things like that. Ask them all to wear uniforms, even the plainclothes detectives. Put on your shit, put on your gear, be ready. Stand back and stand by. That is what has been told to the New York Police Department. Looking in the comments, they really got you, huh? Who are they to have gotten the host? What are you talking about? Sunken place. Uncle Tom. I take a hell of a lot of abuse. The fact that I am a liberal, I lean left, but I do believe that the right is entitled to free speech, entitled to state their point. It sure makes it difficult for folks on the left. Folks on the left, particularly color, do not believe folks on the right should be allowed to speak. I'm not in that camp. I don't believe anybody should be censored based on their commentary. If people should be afraid of MAGA, should we be afraid of Black Lives Matter too? There are people who are afraid of Black Lives Matter. Did you not see the photo of the couple on the porch in St. Louis? One holding a Glock, the other holding an AR-15. There are people that are afraid of MAGA, or better yet, Black Lives Matter. It comes up every time you bring up January 6th. Black Lives Matter comes up, which should show you something. If you believe the acts of Black Lives Matter were awful, folks would often point out they were burning cities, looting places. If you believe what Black Lives Matter did in the summer of January or summer of 2020 was awful, that should tell you something, that the only comparison those in defense of January 6th comes up with is something they believe is awful. If nothing happened on January 6th, it was a love fest, as many would suggest. Why are you using something that even you would admit is awful as a comparison? Why not bring up the Martin Luther King marches or, women's marches or something? Why are you bringing up something that you are admitting was an awful event as a comparison? Which essentially says, yes, what we did is awful, but maybe it's not as awful as that. That's not good company to be in. Let me go back to the box, straight to the box. By the way, folks, like I said, tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes. A lot of Antifa was at the Capitol on January 6th. Well, in regards to Antifa being present on January 6th, we always have to come back to the question. On January 6th, there were a hell of a lot of Republican senators, Republican Congress, the president, and the Republican vice president, all present there that day. In other words, an entire who's who of the Republican Party was present in Washington on January 6th. All of the top members of MAGA were there on January 6th. Yet, here we are 3 years later, and not a single one of them is suggesting that Antifa perpetrated what happened on January 6th. How many Republican senators or Republican congressmen, the vice president, hell, even President Trump himself is not suggesting that Antifa did that? So, I'm not here to say yay or nay. Obviously, I was not there. We all are speculating unless you were actually on the ground there that day. But that does leave a hell of a lot to question when none of the members of the Republican Party, including MAGA, including the President Trump himself, are suggesting that Antifa did that. That says a lot, because they would have the most to gain by saying this was not us, we're being wrongfully blamed, it is Antifa. Yet what they're complaining about is a lack of due process. We haven't been charged with being wrongfully held. Legitimate complaint, but they're not complaining about Antifa. That's coming from people predominantly that were not there that day. That says a lot. Looking in the comments. By the way, folks, I will go straight to the box. If this type of dialogue is what you enjoy, civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, feel free to follow the program. We're here 11:30 Central to 1 every day. Both sides of the aisle gets to speak. I say it all the time. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Going straight to the box. I don't know what's going on with the box. For some reason, it's letting folks in and they're bouncing out. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. Media controls the narrative. Keep the masses scared of each other. I don't disagree with that, but we do have a lot of media out there coming from both sides of the aisle. But I'm going to simply state what I said before. There's a hell of a lot of Republican leadership present on January 6th. And the overwhelming majority of them are not blaming Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or some other entity. I think the Republican Party are in sync in suggesting that what happened on January 6th was perpetrated by Trump supporters. They're not denying that. They're stating that maybe they were not treated fairly. Maybe they're being arrested on due process and things like that. But they're not denying that that was perpetrated by MAGA. So I don't know where the Antifa thing keeps coming up. Now, I understand folks are bringing up the likes of Ray Epps. Let me turn on my air because the damn car is the phone is heating up a bit in the sun. But while I'm doing that, let me look in the comments. Somebody said, I disagree with you. Oh, shit, I lost a comment. I disagree with you, but respect your opinion, says user Virgo. Well, if you disagree, feel free to elaborate. I'd love to hear it. Listen, I don't ever come off or intend to come off as a know-it-all. I always like to hear your opinions. I always like to hear your side of the conversation. And I promise I will never ban, block, or censor you for it. So let me know For those who believe I'm wrong, state in the comments where you think I'm missing out on, and we can talk about it. But until then, we'll go straight to Bushmaster 11. Master, hopefully this lets things go through. Bushmaster, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. So I'm asking right off the bat, is there a reason to fear MAGA?
No. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What do you think about Xi Jinping and Putin meeting?
I think that we have said a lot of negative rhetoric towards China, starting with Trump, and Biden has not necessarily let off on that. So they see Russia as an ally because America in the West currently is not one. I can understand why Gigi would take the side of Putin.
Okay, so what do you think about that? I mean, are you aware that they're the number two and number three strongest militaries in the world, right?
Yes, that is a problem you face when you come across as the world's police. The top criminals don't like you. The top criminals often will ambush you and find ways to get back at you. America is stopping two major issues, one being Russia not wanting NATO on its borders and dealing with the Ukrainians. And China wants to reclaim Taiwan as its own so that they can have control of the China Sea or whatever that is over there. So America's stopping both of those simultaneously. So they have a vested interest in getting together and uniting to prevent that.
You think they'll be able to do it?
It depends on how much they value the almighty dollar. If they do it from a standpoint of trying to maintain China's economy, no. But if they do it like a Kim Jong Un, where I don't give a damn how poor they make us, we're going to stand by what we believe in. Yes, they could. Russia does not give a damn about losing its economy. China, on the other hand, seems to do so. So if China comes around to the mindset of Russia, I think they could stop us.
Hmm. All right. Well, I just wanted to hear your opinion. I'm going around asking people their opinions on it. Appreciate it.
Absolutely a pleasure. Come on back through anytime, Bushmaster. Oh, in the comments, free Uncle Trump on God. What the hell does that mean? Is the hat backwards because you don't really support Trump? No, the hat is backwards because your host was too ignorant to mirror his video. Appreciate you letting your boy know that. There you go. All right, let's go back to the box. It is Heather, mommy. All right, appreciate you folks coming through. So, is there a reason for MAGA, or better yet, the America to fear MAGA? That's what we're asking. Good afternoon, Heather.
Hi guys. No. Why would anybody be afraid unless they just listen to what the media says? I mean, what is there to be afraid of?
Well, they're looking at what took place on January 6th, and I guess
Okay,
they
I
have the
I
belief
was
that
I
that could happen
was I
again.
was there. I was in DC on January 6th. And yes, before people come to me, I did speak to the FBI. And number 2, it was the Pittsburgh FBI. And 2, I did not go into the Capitol. So
Okay.
let's just get that out there right now.
All right. So let me ask you, Heather, since you were actually on the ground there that day, give me your opinion. What the hell happened that day? What was that?
Okay. Okay, so first of all, whenever I got invited to go, we took 3 buses down, okay?
Okay.
We were planning this for weeks. So whenever we went down, we just were going down to listen to Trump speak about what happened with the election. So that's
Right.
all I knew that was supposed to be going on, and then I knew after he spoke, everybody was going to march down to the Capitol. So that's
Right.
what I thought was going to happen. And like I said, there was 3 buses of us that all went down, and we all had the same idea. We had no idea this was going to happen. So when we first got there, there were thousands and thousands of people. I mean, you couldn't see anything but just seas of people. There were so
Wow.
many
That's a
people
lot of
there.
support. That's a lot of
Yeah.
support.
And then whenever Trump was talking, if you wanted to get so close to him, the FBI was like had it gated off. And if you had like a book bag or if you had any kind of bag, you had to leave it to get closer to him. And there were mounds and piles of just people who left their book bags and purses just to get closer to him that day. So then after he spoke, we all started walking up to the Capitol, and it took a while because there were so many people. Like, we didn't even walk down the main road. We went up on a side road to try to get there a little faster. Once we got there, all the gates were already down. We never seen any camera people anywhere, like media people,
Okay.
nowhere to be found.
All right.
So
So
we were
let me
standing.
interrupt and ask you this. Let me
Okay.
interrupt and ask you this. Now, when you heard him speaking, now on the cameras, I understand the media presents a different angle than someone who may be on the ground there. But obviously, on the media, you hear folks yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." I'm talking about on the line, not in the building. Did you hear any of that when you were there?
Yes, when I was on the Capitol ground, I did hear people saying, "Hang Mike Pence." Yes, I did hear that.
How did you feel about that to be among fellow Trump supporters, the supporters of the administration, suggesting they take the life of the vice president? How did that make you feel?
I don't know. It wasn't like most of the people. It would just be like there would just be like these groups of people. You know what I mean? Like it seemed you could
Groups
tell like
of
what kind of
groups of
groups
people
of
threatening to
people.
kill the vice. You're talking about groups of people threatening to kill the vice president. How did you feel being near those groups?
I didn't feel any certain type of way. People were shouting all kind of things. I mean, there were people with megaphones singing the national anthem at the same time that people were chanting that. You know what I mean? So like
Right, right.
I have all the videos and pictures on my Facebook page, which I'm surprised they haven't been taken down. But so it wasn't just like a crowd just saying that. I mean, there were people saying that, and I did hear it, but there were also people praying. There were also people crying. There were also people just trying to climb up the walls and the scaffolding. And then
Why would they do
there
that?
was
Why would they climb? Wait a minute. There's stairs, there are elevators. Why would they climb the walls of the building?
because so many people were trying to get through, like to get inside the Capitol, I guess. So we were just
Yeah,
standing there, just
but
watching all
Heather,
this.
Heather,
And
come on, Heather. We've all went to places that were crowded. I've been to school and had to stand out in line and wait to get in. I've been to clubs. I've never thought to climb the wall of a club to get in. Why are you
me,
climbing the
me
wall?
either. Me neither. I wasn't climbing no walls. But whenever we got
Right.
there, like when we stood there, like it was crazy because the scaffolding was still empty. Like nobody was on the Capitol. You just seen a bunch of police, and then you would see the police leave, and then people would just like rush wherever people were getting rowdy. It's like the police were not ready for that number of people at all. So if there was
Define
a
rowdy.
problem,
Define rowdy.
screaming, like trying to break down the barriers, like trying to bust through the police lines.
But I'm seeing on Tucker Carlson where it was peaceful and everybody was let in. Now you're talking rowdy, busting down barriers, going around the police orders. I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying something totally different than what they said on Fox.
Okay, so when we first got to the Capitol, they had all those. Okay, so they had it blocked off pretty far, right? Well, once everybody started coming in, they needed the police because they didn't realize the number. They didn't have enough manpower, okay? So all those police that were at the front, like the front barriers, they had to lay those barriers down, and those police had to move and regroup and go closer to the Capitol. So they put those barriers down and let us in closer. But once they tried to hold the line at the Capitol, it just got ran over. They were
So
spraying mace. They were shooting flares in the air. It was crazy. It was crazy.
why is
Smoke
it? But
bombs.
so if what you're saying is true, why do you think the president suggested it was a love fest? You're talking shooting fireworks and things at police. I've seen police take the
Oh no,
life
no,
of folks.
the police was doing that to the people on the ground. The
Oh,
police were
okay, all
no,
right.
the
The
police
police
no,
had
no, the
fireworks.
No, flares. Shooting
Oh,
red
okay.
flares. red
All right.
flares. They had smoke bombs, like the little smoke container things. But listen, when the police would throw them, people would throw them back. And then they had like the big bottles. They had the big bottles of like mace. They look almost the size of like a fire extinguisher, and they would just spray the people because there were some people there that were just acting a fool and crazy. Like they were
Were
crazy.
they Antifa? Were those people Antifa?
I have no idea what Antifa looks like. I have no idea. I have no clue. I
That's a
can't.
fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people say that all the time, like, oh, some people were probably instigated a little bit, but there were also people trying to get people to knock it off, like, have you ever seen the
Did you see
videos?
Ray Epps? Did you see Ray Epps in the crowd?
No, no, I didn't.
Did you see
No.
did you see anyone in the crowd? Did you see anyone in the crowd trying to get people to do bad stuff that you felt was not a Trump supporter?
No, I
You're
didn't.
talking a lot different. I gotta move it on, but you're
I'm
a
just
really, really good conversation. I gotta move it on. Go ahead, I give you the last word though.
Yeah, no, I'm just telling you like what I saw and where I stood. And I have all my
Right.
videos and my pictures and stuff. I think there's might be some on my TikTok page too. But yeah, that's just what we saw,
I wanna give you a follow and see what you got because
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you're
can send
speaking.
you whatever.
Please do. You're saying what you're saying sounds totally different than the love fest that Trump portrayed or what was put on Fox News. Let me ask you this before I let you go though.
Okay.
Do you believe Trump should be the president in 2024?
I don't know yet. I definitely think we need a Republican in there, but I don't know who I'm going to support yet, to be honest.
Right. If it came down to Trump versus DeSantis.
Ooh, see, that's where I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I
So you
really,
jury's
I
still
can't give
out.
you an honest answer.
That's a fair one. All right, Heather, you were really good conversation. I'm assuming this is our first time talking.
Yes, I followed you for a while. I watch you.
Okay.
But
All
yeah, I
right.
never got in the box.
Okay, wait, well, it's certainly an honor having you in. Come on back through anytime. Don't be a stranger. But I do got to move it on. Good
All right.
conversation.
All right, bye
Absolutely. All
guys.
right, fair enough. Now, interesting. That's a Trump supporter. Not only a Trump supporter, but actually willing to go to Washington on January 6th and giving her honest interpretation of what went on. Now, what she said went on sounds completely different for those who may have seen what Tucker Carlson received from Representative McCarthy. Totally different, totally different. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. I assume some of you guys are probably going to put her in the rhino category, but nevertheless, I always invite folks to come on and give their honest take, regardless if I agree or disagree. Nobody gives a damn what the host thinks. It's all about stating your point, stating your opinions without any fear of being banned, censored, or blocked. We do not do that here. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. Helps out the algorithms. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly, but liberals are welcome as well. Let's keep it moving. One only right one. We got the right one, baby. The late Ray Charles. Right one. Good afternoon.
How you doing there, host?
I'm doing good. I'm asking a question. Do you believe there is a reason for America to fear MAGA, fear Trump supporters?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. What happened? What made that change? Sounds like you're saying they used to, but not now. So what took place?
January 6th took place and it failed. So I
Mm.
don't think people went to jail. People lost a lot of money. People lost a lot of loved ones to the justice system. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people made mistakes.
How would you respond to someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene stating that if that happens again, they're going to be armed and they're going to win? So she's suggesting that if another event like January 6th happens again, the outcome is going to be totally different than what you just stated.
Yeah, but she's just blowing hot air. She doesn't even see what most people don't understand. These politicians do not even believe what they be saying. They're just saying it just to have something to say each day. And for instance, January 6th happened before several times. Election violence isn't nothing new. They actually took a blueprint from the past. If you look in the past at Wilmington, Alabama, all the election day violence that took place, you will see that speeches were made by politicians.
Yeah, but I don't. I understand we've had political violence in this country, but we're talking about where the vice president and all of Congress and all of the Senate was essentially being held hostage. They had to sneak them out of the location undercover because they all felt their lives were in danger. I mean, we can talk about Nancy Pelosi and all them, but McCarthy and some of those Republicans are running too. I believe it was Lindsey Graham that suggested they shoot the protesters in the head. So we've never had the entire head of this country held down like that before.
No, but we have had it on a local level. Because in Wilmington,
Yeah,
North Carolina, they went in with a Gatling gun after politicians were telling people that their votes would be stolen. Confederate soldiers couldn't vote back then after the war. So
right.
politicians started telling farmers and Confederate soldiers if they don't do something now, they won't have a state.
I was not
And
aware of that.
yeah,
Wow.
they went in and replaced the legislature. They unalived 300 people and replaced the legislature. Which you got to understand, after Reconstruction, African Americans were being elected all over the South.
Yes.
And 1/3 of the legislature in Wilmington, North Carolina was African American. And the same speeches that happened January 6th is practically identical. If you
Mm.
don't go do something, you're going to lose out. They're going to take, well, they used women back then. They didn't use your country. They were saying if you don't do something about these African Americans in office, you're going to lose your women.
Yeah. But basically, damn.
Yeah. So they showed
Hey,
up.
there's a bunch of, hey, I can't hate on, there's some cute white women out there. I ain't hating on that one at all. But at the end of the day, do you see you see MAGA as a weaker entity now? You said never again. So you don't think MAGA has the same power it had on January 6th?
No, no, because listen, I don't think MAGA is as gullible as they were before. Not as many. I think a lot of people say, yo, we were fooled by this guy. Some people don't want to admit it. There's some, you got people that are hanging on, but people are actually, they don't have time for that no more. And you,
Yeah.
and,
You
and, and,
know,
and,
there has
and
been I've seen analysis that because the protests in New York are not taking off like folks thought, and folks are saying that they believe it might be a trap, which is why and also too New York City made it clear, they kind of played that old football team, we ready for y'all, by activating every damn body in the city. So yeah, it seems like the protests are not going to kick off the way they originally thought.
and it's my last thought. I honestly believe that Republican politicians, they really secretly want Trump to go away. Now they're
Yeah,
not
I
going
don't
to
I
say
don't
it.
think that I don't even think that's a secret. Hell, even MAGA is calling most Republican politicians rhinos because Trump demands 100% loyalty while giving none of it. So every Republican politician knows at any given time he could throw me under the bus and destroy my career. So
Yeah,
yeah, I believe that. I
and the
definitely believe
biggest
that.
one is DeSantis. If you don't think DeSantis wants Trump to be indicted, he doesn't want to face that guy in no primary because Trump is very powerful in the primary. That's the last thing he wants. If he's going to run for president, he doesn't want to face Trump in no primary.
You're not the only one to say that. But all right, right one.
Right, man.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Good talk, man. Later. All right, looking in the comments. So why do support Trump crazy? I'm assuming you're saying why do I? So I lean left. I make no qualms about the damn name of the program says that. Nevertheless, you will always see this program as MAGA friendly because I've stated before, why the hell you got a MAGA hat up? Well, because I believe strongly Republicans, Congress, Republicans, conservatives rather, and of course MAGA do not get a fair play when it comes to the media, when it comes to being able to enjoy free speech. They get canceled every damn where they go. And simply disagreeing with someone, whether politically or otherwise, does not give you the right to shut them up. So anytime you're on this program, in my tiny ass corner of social media, everyone's First Amendment free speech rights will be observed, regardless of what side of the damn aisle they come from. That is why the hat is up there. Keeping it moving. We'll go straight to bring facts. That says a lot. I like that. Let's keep
Okay.
it going. By the
Hey,
way,
what's
folks,
going on,
pause
man?
the program and this is what you like. Bring facts. Good afternoon.
Hey, did you hear? But I hear what you just said a lot, and I can understand why why it's kind of enticing. It seems kind of you know truthful in the ear, but would it surprise you to find out that multiple studies, including one from Princeton, another one from Pitt University, actually found that when it comes to social media, it's that conservatives or right-leaning, uh, you know, account holders are more likely to violate TOS and community guidelines. That's what tends to happen.
Well,
As
it
in,
depends on. I get what you're saying. I would look at it this way. You're talking about conservatives violating community guidelines, but in my humble opinion, being from the left side of the aisle, I believe the community guidelines are tailored so that's most likely to happen.
no,
For
no, no, no. I
instance,
mean, no. I'm talking about even neutral, just basic truthfulness guidelines, as in not stating things that are historically and demonstrably untrue, or ignoring the basic, uh, you know, uh, you know, uh, basically niceness, sort of
that's
not
what
attacking
I
people,
get what you're talking about. My
or
rebuttal
spamming.
is I
Or,
believe the community guidelines are tailored so that folks on the right are more likely to violate it. This is what I mean.
no, no,
If
no,
I
no, no,
say
no. That
that
right? No, no, no. Okay, is a
I
kindergartner right wing or conservative? No. These are rules that you would have if you were in kindergarten. Basically, be nice to others. Don't get in people's
No,
face.
no, let me interrupt. Let me respond
Don't
to you.
hurl insults.
If I'm a kindergartner and I say, even though I have male genitalia, I'm a female. Currently, that is no longer a violation of community
No,
guidelines.
no, no.
Whereas throughout America, hold
No,
on,
wait a minute.
you
Wait a
got to
minute. Wait
let
a
me
minute.
respond to you. Wait a minute,
The
you have to let
term
me respond to what you're
is just the
saying.
term you're
I'll
using.
I'll, I'll
Okay,
let
go ahead.
you speak. I'll let you speak, and then I'll respond to it. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the term you were using. I was just trying to correct you about one term. Because when somebody's talking about their gender, they're talking about man, woman. That's the gender term. That is not tied to your biology. That is talking about your gender, as in how you regard yourself, regarding who you're attracted to, how you present, your identity, that sort of thing. It's not talking about what your actual, biology is. So when
Okay.
someone is telling you that their gender does not correspond to the same one that the one that they were assigned at birth.
Okay. All right. Let me get in there. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is this. A lot of the issues that we refer to as being progressive is about pushing the envelope for change. We consider that change to be better, but most of the progressive pushes, whether it's feminism, whether it's the LGBT community or a host of other things, are all things that normally would violate the community guidelines. We've just changed it so that we allow that stuff and stuff that the folks on the right say are the things that violate. So, have you heard some of the anti-male stuff that feminists often say?
No,
They don't get
and
community
they've been
guideline
taken down for it.
violations for that. They say it all the
I have
time.
friends who have really been taken down for that. I have friends who have actually been taken down for that. They're as left wing as you could possibly be. So that's not something that's
I watch
exclusive
a
or
hell of a lot of media shows like The View and things like that. They get away with that stuff all the time. They get away with that stuff all the time. I don't know how you might see it somewhere in
wait a
different
minute, wait,
pockets of
wait, that's
media,
a
but I'm
TV show.
telling you,
Okay,
I am
on the View.
I'm
What
telling you
happened on
that
the
the
View?
left gets away. Folks on the left, like myself, I know. For
Can you
instance,
give me
I can say
specifics?
things. I can
Can you
say
give me
things
specifics?
about.
What did they do on the View? What did they do
Okay,
specifically on the View?
well, they like a good example. Michael B. Jordan comes on the show, the guy who stars in Creed. Joey Behar is touching on him, talking about his body, his muscles, and all of that. You can't do that to a woman on national TV. You think Jennifer Aniston could sit next to me and I could grab all on her and tell her how great she's in shape and what her body's like. You can't do that. That's a
I
perfect example of it.
B. Jordan has been on that show 4 times. I've watched every single one of them. I have them committed to memory. At no
What
point did
point
they
are you
just
making?
grab on him. At
I'm
no point did any of them
100%
actually
sure
grab
that
on him.
happened. I'm not only am I
I
certain that
watched it.
happened, I
I
can
watched
quote
it.
you. I can quote you on what she said while she was doing it. She said, "Wow, you really let yourself go, making a joke that you're so muscular." I I don't know how you didn't see it because I
That
can
happens
actually
with women
quote
all the
you what
time.
she said while
They talk
doing it.
about how amazing a woman looks on those shows all the time, especially when it's
Touching,
about actresses.
sir. I said touching. I didn't say look. I said she was touching him.
No, even touch. Well, first off, when did they touch him? Because I've watched all 4 of those from
Okay,
beginning to
I
end. I
can't
watched that show.
listen.
I
Okay,
watched that
I
show with my
gotta I
daughter.
can't
I
listen.
watched the show with my
We
daughter.
can agree to disagree. What other points you have? What other points you have?
Well, the thing that I'm trying to get at here is this idea. All right. All right. I am willing to meet somewhere in the middle with someone who is reasonable when it comes to this. But the idea that this is something like, okay, I've told the story several times. All right. How my best friend growing up was a kid named Gerald Sears. His nickname was Stuffy, right? We became best friends after we had in the 2nd grade, we had a fist fight. Now, while we were sitting there in the vice principal's office, outside the vice principal's office, waiting for our parents to show up, I'm sitting there with a busted lip. He's sitting there with a freaking black eye, and my mom made me have him over to stay the night for the week over the weekend. But I'm serious. By Sunday, we were best bud, stayed friends to this very day. The thing is, we did not become best friends in the middle of the fist fight. Right now, this country is in the middle of that fist fight. The
Right.
idea that we could possibly come together right now is preposterous. And when it comes to this whole thing, who started it? Not that that's all of it, but who started it and who's pushing it to the limit? Because the things that you just now said, we're talking about gender, not sex. So this biology stuff is irrelevant to that. And no one's changed these terms. And then pretending that referring to someone accurate medical terminology, CIS, that's been around for 19 centuries, been a seminal, completely normal portion of medical terminology for all of my medical career. I don't understand how suddenly we're listening to these conservative people try and pretend that suddenly it's a slur, that they're offended. You can be offended by anything. You don't get to pretend that it is a slur, though. You don't get to pretend. You don't get to lower the bar on what offends you, so that you can make anything that the other side just accurate terminology insulting. That's never been
Right.
used to press them.
Okay, I mean we're quite a bit of ways from the actual topic. I will just say I'm listening to you. I've heard your point. We can agree to disagree on it. I don't think you and I would agree on what you're stating, but you're entitled to have that opinion. But I
Uh,
do have to move it
What,
on.
what's the
We're out
inaccuracy in what I
we're
said,
out of
though?
space
What
at
I
this
was
point.
asking. I was just asking for the inaccuracy in what I was saying, if there is one. What am I missing?
Well, I mean, first of all, you believe that folks on the left are not getting away with stuff. I disagree. I
I
don't know
didn't
how.
say
I
they
mean,
aren't. I didn't
I
say that
gave
they
you
don't.
examples, and you told me it didn't
I didn't say.
happen.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that nobody gets away with anything. I believe that right people get away with things too. I believe
Okay.
that left people
All
get away
right.
with things. It does. It happens. My issue is that the reason why there are more right wing people getting in trouble is because they violated more, and the rules didn't change. They changed. All right.
Okay.
They've gotten
Well,
more radical.
and
15
that's
years ago,
in
the
regards
things they
to the
do would be
right.
considered.
In regards to the right violating it more, that is an opinion. I mean, there's
No, no,
no
no,
way
no,
to
no.
know that.
Didn't I start off by pointing out that there's actual several studies regarding one at my alma mater in Princeton? There's actually one that came out of Yale. There's one at Pitt University. I'm sorry, but these things are things that are demonstrable.
But Mike Lindell did a study that shows Trump won the election. You can bend a
No,
study
no,
anyway.
no, no. Okay, Mike Lindell didn't have a study. Mike Lindell didn't conduct a study.
That's an
A
opinion. Once
study would
again, that is
no,
an
no, no. Study would
opinion.
have no, no. When it comes to when I
Hey,
say study, I'm talking about a scientific study. Talking about where it's
okay.
double blind,
All
where
right.
it's actually where you actually have a control, where you actually do longitudinal. It's a representative sample set. All those things where you show your methodology, submit it for peer review, and others have
All
to
right.
replicate
Okay,
your
I
methodology.
gotta move it on, man. Listen,
That's
you
a
and I
different.
disagree, but you're always entitled to state your opinion. I do gotta move it on, though. Appreciate you coming in here. All right, looking in the then it was scientifically stolen. I like that comment there. Who said that, Jen? Now, obviously, I'm not in the camp that the election was stolen, but I do like that response. Bring facts next time you come on. Try to bring some facts. Well, and hey, listen, I always make it clear I don't ban you or censor you for regardless if you agree with me or not. I gave that caller plenty of time to state his point. Let's go. Appreciate the confetti there. But yeah, I gave him plenty of time to state his point. It was pretty clear. Me and the last caller disagreed from the moment he started talking. Nevertheless, like I say on every broadcast, nobody should be banned because they have a difference of opinion. So gave him plenty of time to state it. At the end of the conversation, I still disagree with him. We'll keep it moving. Let's go with the confetti once again. My name is Kitten. Friend of the program. Welcome back, Kitten.
What's going on, handsome liberal? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Is there a reason for us to fear MAGA in 2023?
You should always fear fascists. Absolutely. They're a threat to your democracy. Yeah, you should always fear MAGA. Not in the way that you need to hide in your house, but you should fear them in a way that you should always be wary of what they're doing and what they're saying.
They call us fascists. So give me what makes you say MAGA is fascist? Because that's
Well,
what they often say about us.
Well, they also call us, I mean, they don't know the meaning of words, you know what I mean? In order to be a fascist, you need to want to have a dictator. You need to be willing to oppress your opposition through violence. You know, I'm not going to get offended by people who don't know how to use English.
Well, I have listen as a liberal, I've been called everything from a fascist, communist, socialist. You
Yeah,
name the IST word, any IST word that does not represent capitalist, they'll call you any of the other ones. I've been called all of them. So
yeah.
maybe you're right. I don't know.
I get called a communist all the time, but I'm actually a socialist. It's because they don't know what's what. You know what I mean? When you don't know what word to use, you just throw anything out there. Like they don't know what woke means either, but they'll say that all the time.
So you mentioned you identify as a socialist. Give me your definition. What do you want America to be like as a socialist?
I want to eliminate the employer-employee dynamic. All businesses should be owned by the employees who should make decisions for the companies in a democratic process. There shouldn't be any
Let me
CEOs
interrupt.
anymore.
Okay, let me interrupt in that. Let me present it to you this way. Let's say, like when I was a kid, I used to shovel snow, and folks in the neighborhood would pay me.
Yeah.
At some point, I had like 10 different customers to the point where I could barely get to them all. Let's say I then go out and hire some other folks to help me, and
Mhm.
my clientele gets bigger, and now I got 10 guys shoveling snow for me. You
Yeah.
telling me those 10 guys should own the company I created?
Yeah, absolutely. They should have a say in the business because they're creating value for you. And without those people, you won't be able to expand your business.
But what if I'm the one that has the skills to make sales and bring new clients in, and they do not, and they have a say so, and they start leading my company in the wrong direction and make us all fail?
Then they suffer just as much as you do, don't they?
But I don't want to suffer. I got a company that's doing well. I don't want to
Well, you
suffer
know,
because
I can
somebody.
turn it around on you. Look at all these companies where the CEO thinks he knows what he's doing. They go under, the guy buys a whole bunch of his stock, and then he gets a big bonus while everybody gets fired. So it goes both ways. My way is better for the middle class than yours.
Yeah, but it's not better. It's not good for me if I open up the company. I'm a liberal, and I
I'm
hate
not
to have
worried
to
about
point this
CEOs,
out.
man. Listen, my dude, I am not worried about rich CEOs. They can go get fucked. Every
Yeah,
single
but
one of them. Okay?
if I start out with a small company with a few customers, I'm not a rich CEO, and you're tearing my company up.
Then if you are not willing to share the profits of your business and your success with your employees, then you don't deserve to have a business and you should fail.
I don't have a business if you're making it so that everybody I hire can tell me what the hell to do. That's not my business
Every
anymore.
person in the company should have a say in the way the company goes, because when you only have a few people making the decisions, they end up with all the wealth. How do I know that? Because that's what's happening right now. You have a few CEOs throughout the country making these decisions, accumulating all the wealth, while the middle class is left with nothing. And, you know, these people in the comments can make their little clown emojis. You guys are the ones getting screwed. You can make your clown
No,
emojis all
listen.
day.
Listen, I've been for the most part leaning left most of my life, but I will say this, and I understand your take on it, but your take is further left than mine, obviously. And I think that they like to use your take when they prevent liberals from getting into office. Because listen, if I open up a business, yeah, the
Yeah.
last thing I want is somebody else that it would make me not hire people. Let me give you a good example. If I'm using my shoveling snow example, I
Hmm.
know based on your motto that anybody I hire will now potentially own a business. So now I'm going to start requiring your ass have a college degree before you shovel snow, because I don't want to hire any idiots because they're going to take the company down the wrong path.
Then that's your decision with your company. But what I'm telling you is this: every employee should have a say in what the business does. Because when you don't, then you end up with a few people with all the wealth. And that's exactly what happened. You're
Well,
obviously in favor of capitalism, and I am not.
yeah, I think what you're doing, though, and I'm just being honest, I think it would stifle innovation. I wouldn't even want to open up a business
It's
under
not
those rules.
communism in the comments. It's not communism. Use the right word, please. Dear
I
God.
don't. Being humble, I don't. I'm not going to pretend like I even know what that is. You're saying it's social. I don't know. I'm just simply saying
It's
I've
Marxism.
tried to open up a few
It's
businesses. I
Marxism.
had a.
It's Marxism. Marx said that as long as you have an employer-employee dynamic, a few people at the top will have all the wealth, and everybody else on the bottom will be getting screwed. And I'll be damned if that isn't exactly what's happening.
I don't disagree that that's what's happening, but like, okay, here's a good example. I actually did open up a clothing store when I lived in Australia. I lived in the suburbs of Sydney, Australia, a town called Campbelltown, and I had a business where I was selling a lot of the brands that the kids like over there, the American brands they see in the movies, but they can't get. I was selling Timberlands, K-Swiss, different brands you see in the hood.
Hmm.
Now, the Australians that I hired, I hired a few kids to, clean up the windows and do shit and make sure the shelves are stocked. The
Sure.
last thing I would want the Australian people I hired who know nothing about American brands to have control of my company. They wouldn't know what the hell they was doing.
Then don't hire those people. Hire somebody that does.
Okay, but now you're controlling my hiring practices for my company.
Yeah, you need to hire good people so you don't screw up your business. Would that the
But
banks
I
did
don't
that.
want to.
Maybe we wouldn't be talking about the banks right now.
I mean, I lean left, but you're making me feel Republican because your argument is so far to the left. I don't want
I
somebody
am a
telling me what to
Marxist.
do with my business.
I am a Marxist. You know,
Yeah.
there is no more CEO in my world. You don't have a business. That's everyone's business. Everyone owns
You
that. It's
sound
not
like
your business.
that's exactly what Obama said. You didn't build this and things like that. That's damaging as a politician. Now you're
I
not going to
mean,
run for office anytime soon, are
yeah,
you?
I don't, first of all, I'm not running for office. Second of all, I don't need to be non-damaging. I can just sit back and watch all you capitalists fail and get more poor and more poor, and I'll be laughing the whole time. I don't
Okay.
need to
I
do
don't,
any
I
of that.
don't, hey, if that happens, you have a right to laugh, but make sure you specify. I'm a socialist. I am not a Democrat. Do not put me with Democrats because I do
Okay,
believe
I
your
am not a
language.
Democrat. I am an
There you go.
independent socialist.
Fair enough. And I'm saying that because I believe your language would be harmful to Democrats. It's very similar to
Well,
defund the
my
police.
language doesn't need to be harmful to Democrats. They do enough to harm themselves, like, punishing railroad workers who want to strike and making it illegal for them to do so. Okay, that's why you need socialism right there. Okay, not cleaning up a massive spill in Ohio. That's damaging to Democrats. Okay, advocating for health care for everybody, clean environment, fair wages. That's not damaging. Okay, and that's why the Democrats are not excited right now because they're balls deep in corporate money and they can't actually do anything for the middle class.
I would love to hear a Democratic business owner say that I want to do things the way you're saying. I would love to hear that. I got to move it on, kidding, but that is an interesting. We got an interesting disagreement in concept, but we talk a lot. Come on back through anytime, man.
Have a good one, man.
You too. You too. Real quick, in the we saw a lot of different comments coming back. Real quick, we're gonna go back to the predominant topic, but by way of yes or no, how many folks agree with what he was suggesting? Because we do get folks who tend to, support Bernie Sanders, support being, the socialist tenants. How many of you folks, by way of yes or no, agree with what my last caller was stating? I would like to hear that. I see some folks saying I do. And the reason why I disagree is because I have tried to own a few small businesses before. And I mean, I owned several properties in Chicago as a landlord. I had 4 duplexes and some single family homes I was renting out. And I had contractors that I could call in the middle of the night to change locks and things like that. A lot of them were crackheads. Now, the last thing I want to do is be responsible in a business transaction for what a crackhead thinks. Now all of a sudden, like what he was saying, well then now you got to be forced to hire better people. And that's where it goes into folks saying you're killing my autonomy. You're now it's my business, but everybody's telling me what to do. And that's where I'm kind of off on it a little bit. All right, let's keep it going. But that was an interesting conversation. We get those here. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 40,000 likes. Bring more MAGA. It helps out the algorithms. Should Americans fear MAGA? Do they have any reason to fear MAGA? Going straight to the box. It is Anthony 6190. I see a Les. Always interested in the names. I do see a Let's Go Brandon, and I'm curious. Anthony, good afternoon.
What's going on? What's going on, Hansel? I need you to know that you just let the cat out the bag with me. I know that
How so?
you mastered Reaganomics, but I'm gonna let that alone. That's between me and you.
Hell no. You
That's
talking about
between
trickle
me and
down.
you.
I'm not a fan. Hell
No,
no.
no,
I
no,
don't
no, no,
believe
no, no,
in
no, no,
trickle
no,
down
no,
economics.
no. That ain't. I'm talking to the black Tim right now. I'm talking to the black side.
Go ahead. Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
um, yeah, you sound like you done cleaned, but we gonna let that go. We're gonna let that go. We're gonna let that go.
Thank you for that confetti. No, I want to hear. Let me get marvelous. Who
What?
was that? Who said that? Let's go, Brandon. Appreciate that. No, what? Give me what part of Reagan you said I identify that I find favorable.
Oh no. What I'm saying is, sounds like rental properties from Chicago. You got close contact with smokers who can click fix something up for you right quick. I'm just saying I'm reading between the lines. That's all
Okay,
I'm
I
saying.
feel you. I feel you. Yeah, you don't grow up on the south side. You don't grow up on the south side of Chicago as a poor black man without having a few crackheads that can fix your brakes. You
Come
know, and
on,
do.
man.
I had a whole network of crackheads, man. I mean, they do a lot of good shit. Kind of like the 18, kind of like the 18. Just because they out the military, don't mean they still can't complete the mission.
And couple wibbles and you good. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I'm
no.
gonna stop. Go ahead.
All right. So let me get back to the topic at hand. Do you think there's a reason for America to fear MAGA?
Um, in the grand scheme of things, yes, because it's a continuation of the Confederacy. Period. Point blank. But
Mm.
personally, um, no. I think that prime example. He pointed his weapon that he said that he could use on Fifth Avenue. See, he pointed it on the 6th, and it worked. Well, he pointed it yesterday. Well, for today, he pointed it, and it didn't work. Now there were a few groups of people, his loyalists, that went up there and got a couple of lumps on their heads, for their hard work. Then got plenty of videos out there of them people getting ran up out of neighborhoods. And for what? And for
So do
what?
you think? So do you think Trump in today's day and age, 2023, you think he's lost power?
Definitely lost power, but a man is trapped in a corner is very, very, very dangerous.
Wait, hang on a second. Who the hell just sent that? I appreciate that TikTok. No, the cars are damn. I've never seen that
Okay.
before. Thank you. So, so you don't. I mean, I don't know, because on January 6th, they claimed that Nancy Pelosi should have sent the National Guard. Some would say it wasn't her job, but right now they've activated, at least advised the entire police force in New York City to be on alert. Do you think that was even necessary?
Yeah, because you don't know what to expect with these people. But I've been trying to tell people from day one, you name how anybody can bring the military on the streets of Washington D.C. without the president's consent. or permission. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
So you believe it was the president's job to keep that crowd under control on January 6th?
I believe that the president, what happened is exactly what the president wanted to happen, not the outcome that he wanted because he wanted to still be president.
Wait. So you believe that President Trump wanted violence?
They did a coup, sir. Sir, they did a coup. All of our politicians, all of our senators, all our what do you call it, representatives, all of these people, the vice president, the vice president elect, all of these people are in the same place where they attacked, regardless of whether they had weapons or not. In the court of law, if this was a fair country, all of those people would be charged with kidnapping because you held those
Mm.
people against their will and they had to move. That's kidnapping.
So if you think it was attempted coup, do you believe President Trump should be allowed to run for office again?
I think that we should do what we didn't have the courage to do after the Civil War. I think these people all need to be charged. I think their followers, if they've done anything wrong, I think they should be charged. I think any senator, representative found to have any kind of work or action done in this, I think they should be fired and never be allowed to serve again.
Wow. Now, obviously, it does not appear as if that's going to happen. So I have to ask this final question to you. What do you think America would be like if Trump is back in the White House in 2024?
It won't happen. I can say that with
Okay,
certainty.
sir, and you're not the only one that thinks it won't happen. But for shits and giggles, what if it happened? What do you think? Do you think the good economy, go back to what do you think America
No.
would be like if Trump got reelected?
If Donald Trump gets reelected to this country, the Confederacy this will be the United States of Confederacy. And this country will go to shit. Just like it was headed. Everything that man touches crumbles. I pray to God that he is their candidate in 2024.
But wait a minute. Remember, the Confederacy fought to divide the country in half, damn near. They were in favor of slavery. They were in favor of oppression. Are you saying that the
Aren't they
Trump
talking about that now?
administration
Aren't they talking about that now?
dividing the country in half? Slavery?
Conservatives are talking about that now. His most staunch supporters, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Lauren Boeberts, all of these people have said with their mouths and in public that they want to split the country. This is who
Along
they
what?
are, y'all.
Wait. Split the
And until
country
we
along
accept
what
it, this is
line?
who they are.
Split the country along what line? Like which states and
Marjorie Taylor,
you're going in and out.
can you hear me?
Yeah, go. You said Marjorie Taylor Greene. What?
Hold on, let me pull over right quick. Yeah,
Okay.
these people, they don't ever have they don't ever have a plan. All they want to do is action. They don't have a plan. She says that they want to split the country in half. They want to. Conservatives do not want to live with liberal leaning people anymore. If you move from a liberal state to a conservative state, you should have to wait 5 years before you vote because that state doesn't want your political leanings in their state. These are things these
Wait.
people
Did
are
she say
saying
that?
out loud.
Wait, hold on. Did she say
She
that if
said
you
that
move
out loud.
5 years?
5 years. She said that you should not be allowed to vote in a conservative state if you move from a liberal state for 5 years.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think most of the Republican Party feels the way Marjorie Taylor Greene does, though?
I
Damn.
think the most powerful parts of the party does. So that's
So
all that
what if
really matters.
so what if you are a true blue patriot that supports the Second Amendment and you move to Chicago? Is she okay with silencing you for 5 years under that situation?
and you, as you can see, they're trying to get rid of Democrats altogether in Florida right now. They do not
Yeah.
care, Tim. They do not care, Tim. These people are the Confederacy, and until we treat them as such, we're going to be the ones that take the bag every time. This is fact. These people are talking about dividing the country. These people are talking about stopping certain people from voting. These people are talking about stopping people from being married. These people are talking about stopping women from their body autonomy. This is who they are.
Mm. All right, I gotta move it on,
They
Anthony.
don't
You
want
are
you in their
breaking up.
state.
Yeah, I gotta move it on, man. You breaking up quite a bit, but wow,
Okay.
you just depressed me for the day, man. Come on back to you know what we do though. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 45,000 likes. There's still around 500 of us in here. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of censorship or being banned, feel free to follow the program. Help algorithms, and this is what we do. Keeping it going though. Someone said guest speaks the truth, says Chloe. You're not the only one. There are many folks that agree with what my last caller was saying, but there's no shortage of folks that disagree with him as well. Clean house and bring fresh faces into the field. Simply existing. Well, what about Ron DeSantis? He's a fresh face. What about Gavin Newsom out of California? Governor Gavin Newsom, he would be a fresh face in Washington. Would you support either one of those individuals? What is the new House proposing? Absolutely nothing. Aaron, Michael, well, I get, yeah, what the hell are they proposing? You talking about the new Republican House? You're tripping my guy, says Bro Flores. Tripping how? Brainwashing is running rampant. I've heard that over the last 8 years or so. We'll keep it moving. Let's go, Brandon. How can we refuse a name like that? Let's go, Brandon. Oh, hear folks like that. Nevertheless, should America fear MAGA? Let's go, Brandon. Good afternoon.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. Looks like today in New York is going to kind of fizzle out, but they did notify the entire police department to be ready. Was there a reason to actually do that?
I'm not sure about all that stuff. I don't know if Trump is stirring stuff up, or you're talking about the arrest of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
According to Trump, they're not after him. They're only preventing him from helping people like you and me out. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. That's a tough question. It's hard to see. Obviously that DA, I don't think has been doing a great job. So it's hard to, I don't know. Arresting a current president or past president is a big deal, right?
Right.
But yeah, I kind of had one question, if you don't mind me going a little bit off topic. We've spoken before. So what do you think about the Silicon Valley Bank bailout stuff? What do you know much about that, or what are your thoughts?
I know a little bit about it. As long as they do not bail out the investors, I'm kind of tired of this too big to fail bullshit, because the last thing I believe is that the average citizen should refund the money of rich people who would have invested and gotten rich if the investment went well. But because the investment fails, they want to now have us much poorer taxpayers help them get their money back. So I agree when Biden said the investors are not going to be defended, and we're going to fire those who blew up the damn bank. That part I do know about, and I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. From my understanding is that obviously if you're backed by the FDIC, up to $250,000 in everyone's bank account is backed up, right? This bank had 95% of their depositors over that amount. And from my understanding, the federal government, is bailing them out.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. Which because if they failed, right, it would cause too much of an uproar, right, or a bang to our, society and stuff like that. So they're, they're basically saying that if you're too big to fail, we'll bail you out. Which the smaller banks are saying, well, shoot, I mean, if that happens to us, will you bail us out as
Well,
well? I think it was
here's
like
what I would
Oklahoma
propose.
senator questioned them
Here's
on
what I
that.
would propose. If I was ever, and I never will be, but if I was ever in a position of someone like Joe Biden, what I would propose is I would create another damn 3-letter organization, but I would have them go around and review every bank in this country and give me a report of banks that would fall under the category of something went wrong, is too big to fail, and start making them smaller, or letting their customers know, if this shit goes wrong, we're not going to help you out, so that the customers would actually make alternative decisions. I don't think any business should be too big to fail like that. If I was Biden, that's the first thing I would do. Find me what other banks are too big to fail, and let's work on that immediately.
Yeah, no, I agree, because by bailing out this bank, we're going to be printing out, I don't know how many billions or trillions of dollars it is. We won't pay as taxpayers directly on that, but obviously that's how inflation happens, right? When you print more money. So that is what's going to happen. I mean, I listened to a guy named Peter Schiff. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
Yeah, but he's pretty much got it right. Like the 2008 crash, he saw that coming. I mean, if you print more money, obviously inflation rises, right? Your dollar becomes less valuable the more money that's out there. So that's what's going to happen.
Here's why I have such a problem with listen to what you're saying. And I'm no financial guru. I'm not. This is not my area of expertise by any means. But listening to what you're saying, the FDIC, the Federal Trade, whatever, federal, what is that? I don't know. I forget what those acronyms mean, but deposit, whatever commission. The FDIC insures all of us. If you put your money in a financial institution, up to $250,000, which is a good amount of money for an average American to be able to put in the bank aside. They give you insurance up to $250,000. What you're stating is that 90% of this bank's customers were wealthy enough to have more than $250,000 in the bank, and this bank is going under. That bank is too big to fail, so we must help out all of these rich assholes. That needs to be stopped. That is ridiculous.
Right? Yeah, I mean, and, of course, I'm a Republican, right? Conservative. So I think that, this is more of a push to making everyone go to the big branches. Because at this point, why would you not go to a big branch? If you have your money in a small bank, it's not guaranteed that the government's going to bail you out like they did these guys. So why would everyone not move their money to the bigger banks, pushing everyone towards a more,
you
big companies, right?
You could start out by passing a law that limits how many customers a bank can have that are over the 250,000, or you could, like I said, make sure that the bank by law has to send notices to the customer damn near at least annually, letting them know you are over the threshold of what will be insured, and if something happens, it is a loss to you. Because we know when you put more than $250,000 in the bank, you're getting interest rates that are way above what you and I might get. So they're making money on that end, and then if it fails, they're going to get the money back. What kind of shit is that? So
I know, it's encouraging that stuff, which is bad.
It's wrong. Yeah, it's a win-win situation for the wealthy. Kind of what my socialist caller was talking about a little while ago about how the income distribution is, and it's stuff like that that leads people in this country to say capitalism is not working, because those type of rules are unfair. There's no other way to describe it, but it is unfair that they're going to be covered by folks like you and me who least can afford to do it.
Right. And it's in like a backwards way, or a backdoor way, I guess, right? Because Biden will come on and say, well, it's not tax dollars that are paying out this FDIC
doesn't matter.
bailout.
I don't care where the damn money's coming from. I don't care where the money's coming from.
It's coming from inflation,
They shouldn't be entitled to it. Yeah, they shouldn't be entitled to it. I got to move it on, though, Brandon. All right, you really depressed me with that shit.
It's all good.
All right.
Thanks,
good
man.
talk, man.
Later.
You too. All right. In the comments, go back to Dodd-Frank. Well, like I said before, if you can afford to put more than $250,000 in the bank, you are going to get interest rates and returns of your money that is far greater than us living check to check will ever get. And then you have the added padded protection of knowing that if something go wrong, they're going to give you your fucking money back. Let me go to the next caller. All right. Everything about that is unfair. Kamel J. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Should America fear MAGA? Is there a reason to actually fear MAGA?
No. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. So why do you think
Okay.
New York has activated its entire police department?
Well, it's precaution. So I think it's mainly a precaution because of January 6th. But I think it's smart to prepare for something that could possibly happen. But I don't think anyone should really fear MAGA. As far as January 6th goes, I don't feel like Trump incited anything that time, but I feel like the wordage he used, I believe it was on Truth Social, was not appropriate.
Okay, if Trump didn't incite it, I have to ask you your humble opinion. What caused it? What made those people do what they did that day?
Emotions, a lot of emotions. So I'm a Democrat that has leaned towards the Republican side the last few years. Exactly what happened with Black Lives Matters and people saying, cause unrest in the streets was kind of the same type of rhetoric that the Republican Party was using. And I think that instead of people using their critical, logical thinking and going forward and using logical actions, they ran off of their emotions. And I think right now
Where
with
did
the
their
Republic,
emotions? Yeah, but if you look at MAGA, if you go back to, okay, the election was in November. If you go back to, say, September of that year, they weren't emotional. Why? Where did their emotions come from? Why did they get so emotional that they were willing to break into a building in Washington, commit a host of felonies and things like that? What made them that emotional?
media. I think media did that. Obviously, I'm not going to say Trump was completely innocent. I think that he used some words that were charged to strike emotion. But I think what mainly caused people to be even more emotional was seeing what was happening to our country previously, as far as the economy, the vaccine, COVID, the BLM
Yeah, but
riots.
everything you're talking about on January 6th, if you're pissed off with the economy, you're pissed off with COVID issues. Trump has been president for the last 4 years. Shouldn't you be pissed off with him too?
Yes. So I think that people weren't happy with him, but they feel like his hands were tied because of how much he was being blasted. In an interview, Trump said he couldn't focus 100% on the country because he was so busy defending himself from, I believe he said, the radical left. As we've all watched, social media, you have your radicals on both sides, but unfortunately, I feel like the left was more in the face of the American people than what the right was.
What do you mean by in the face of the American people?
Meaning it was being propagated. It was more on the news. It was more on social media. You had a conversation with somebody where they said that they don't believe that the right was censored as much as the left.
Right.
Well, I feel
Right.
like a lot of people that were on the right simply trying to voice their opinions was being silenced. So people were getting frustrated that they couldn't be simply heard. Just like your program you have here, you don't censor or block anybody. Unfortunately, mainstream media and a lot of these social media apps, they're not like that. They were censoring a lot of people, and that helped rise the fire
Well,
in
what,
a
what
lot
my
of.
caller was trying to allude to is that he believes folks on the right get censored quicker because, as he said, they go across community guidelines, like maybe saying something that folks might deem as homophobic or racist or misogynistic. Now, that's what he believed. Do you see that? Whereas maybe folks on the right, for instance, if you see racist rhetoric online or anti-LGBT rhetoric online, is it possible that more of that comes from the right side of the aisle than the left?
I would say it's equal. So growing up, I always believed that it was Republicans that were the racist. It was the Republicans that were extremely against the gays. I would say over the last 10 years of conversating with people that that's not a fact. Some people are simply Republican or voted for Trump because they believe in pro-life rather than pro-choice. That doesn't make them an evil person. That just means that they believe that life is before giving birth. So yeah, I think it was equal as far as any type of racism. But I feel like one side was being censored and silenced more than the other
So
side, and I believe it.
let me present it to you this way, because in regards to the rhetoric being equal coming from the right and the left, anti-LGBT or racist rhetoric or misogynistic rhetoric, why do you believe if the rhetoric is equal, the African American community, the LGBT community, and even to some degree the female community believes it's coming more from the right? In other words, do the African American community, minorities in general, LGBT community, are they not smart enough to know who is attacking them more?
So I don't think that it has a matter to do of like smart or education, but a matter of what information they have in front of them. Not everyone is on TikTok listening to your conversationalists, people talking. People
I
will
wish they
just hear.
were.
Yeah,
I
right.
wish they were.
More some people like we'll give my parents for example. They're starch Democrats, but when I showed them some videos, they believe that everything that was said by Trump was made up. For me, the turning point was Charlottesville when he said there were good people on both sides. I hated Trump. I'm like, he's talking about KKK members are also good people on both sides. Then my Republican buddy showed me a clip 10 seconds longer. And he said, and no, I'm not talking about the KKK or the white supremacists. And that kind of like dove me down into do my research. So I think that a lot of these news stations that people are watching, they believe that they're telling them the news, but in all reality, they're telling people how they should feel by cutting a clip to make it demonize someone a little bit more. And both sides are
Well,
definitely.
let me say this. I one thing you said I kind of disagree with, and that is the Charlottesville incident, where a couple seconds later or whatever, you said I'm not talking about the KKK. From my analysis of what happened back then, it took him 2 days to come out and condemn the white supremacists that day. I didn't hear it from a 10-minute span or a 10-second span like you're talking about. So maybe I missed that, but I do remember them getting him up against an elevator or something in Trump Tower or something, and finally getting them to say, okay, well, white supremacists are bad or something like that. But yeah, I didn't see it happening as quick as you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that was the video that was sent to me. I just know that even during the presidential election, like he was going to for what was it, 2020 to rerun. They were asking him about if he was going to finally condemn white supremacists, and 10 to 20 times before that, he had done that through his entire term, even before he became a president. So I was just kind of shocked that they're continuously asking the same question because they're trying to push this narrative that he's a racist. And listen, I don't know Donald Trump. I don't know if he is, but his
Right.
history doesn't show that he is a
Let me,
raging
let me
racist.
give you an example, and you can let me know. By the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000. It's only about 300 or something in here. I don't know what the hell's going on with my numbers. It's usually about 3 times as many, but maybe I don't piss off the wrong people. But the thing, you never know with these apps, man. I wish I had more control. But one of the things I have to ask in regards to folks thinking Trump is racist or not. Maybe the African American community or minorities get it wrong and overinflate the idea that Trump is a racist. But I have to ask you this. The racists seem to think he's racist. Why the hell do they keep showing up at his gatherings to the point where he has to denounce them? What's causing folks with swastikas and Confederate flags and all of this stuff to keep gathering around this guy?
Yeah, I mean, that is a very interesting question. I think it's because of the way he words things, and maybe it's intentional. I don't pretend to be in the mind of Donald Trump, but what I've always said is Donald Trump just shut up and did his job, but spoke like Obama, the country would not be in the current state that it's in right now.
I definitely think if he was not talking and saying all of the crazy stuff he says, he would still be president. I agree with that because I don't think Trump, the president, with his policies were that awful. I do believe the majority of if there is a such word, the awfulness of Trump was his rhetoric. And I get a lot of MAGA, a lot of strong Trump supporters who will openly admit, yeah, he was putting his foot in his mouth a lot, but you should ignore that for in favor of a better economy and things like that. So even Trump supporters do not hesitate to admit his mouth was hurting him. Now, I have to bring this up. What about the notion that he's telling us that our first black president should be disqualified because he wasn't even born in America? As a minority, how are we supposed to take that?
Yeah. So that I haven't heard that yet. But
Whoa, whoa,
I
whoa, whoa, whoa. You've never heard Trump suggest Obama was born in Kenya? You've never
oh,
heard
oh, oh,
that?
oh. So I thought you were talking about. I think it was like what 10 or 12 black presidents before, like George Washington and all that. No, I have heard that. I have heard that, and I find it interesting, but I don't really have any thoughts on it. It it
What
doesn't
if
really
you're
affect me.
African American? What if you're African American after 200 plus years, you get your first black president, and this dude is saying he's born in Kenya and he shouldn't be qualified to run? How do you
I
think
will.
African Americans would view that?
If I'm looking at it from a race standpoint, I would have an issue with it. I would feel some type of emotional way. But if you are thinking logically and if you're solely into politics, you would want to go after the truth. But as an African American, if I was an African American, I would probably have an issue with it for sure.
And the idea that he didn't apologize and things like that?
No, but I will say through his last tweet or Truth Social post, I have an issue with that, where he said, called for people to protest and to take our country back. I think that was extremely irresponsible. When you look at what happened on January 6th and knowing that people are running on an emotional level rather than using their critical thinking and acting logically, I think that was not a great move by him, which actually may have swayed some of the votes away from Trump in the near
Yeah,
future.
I believe that. So let me look at it this way. I understand that you might agree with a lot of Trump's policies for running America, certainly over President Biden. But you admit that the tweeting and the rhetoric is, according to you, in regards to the protests he called for today, are irresponsible. So I have to ask you this. With him making it clear that if he gets elected, yeah, you'll get the policies and things you like, but I'm going to bring back the rhetoric and irresponsible tweeting. Do you believe he is the best candidate to put forward in 2024, knowing he's going to bring back both of those things?
No. No, for the simple fact that our country right now is emotionally charged on all sides, and we need to come together, and it's going to take a long time. You know, I was in New York on September 11th as a volunteer firefighter, and September 12th was one of the greatest days of my life because it didn't matter what caste, creed, religion, if you were a politician, it didn't matter who you were. Everyone was just going up to people and hugging each other. Like, we need to get to that point
Unity.
again, or at least close to it.
You know, and
Yeah,
I remember that day George W. Bush standing, and I was no George W. Bush fan. I still am not, but him standing on the rubble and saying, I hear you, these people hear you, and those who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon. That was probably one of the best speeches I've heard from George W. Bush, but he followed it up with that mission accomplished bullshit. But nevertheless, I do got to move it on, Camaro.
I
Appreciate you coming
appreciate
in here,
you.
man.
It was great finally talking to you. I listen to your program all the time.
It's always a pleasure. Come on back anytime.
All right.
Okay. Get in the comments. As long as there's religion involved, we will never come together. I refer to that comment as a home run. That is absolutely true. Religion is probably the most divisive element of mankind. If you look at most of the wars, most of the military conflicts, religion is in there somewhere. We can talk about terrorism. We can talk about what Hitler did and all of that shit. Religion is always in there somewhere. So I totally agree with that, and that's not even including all of the shit they haven't told you yet. I will bring up the fact that I was on vacation last week in New Orleans, which is why I wasn't on, and I took some tours down there. We went past a convent where, according to the stories in New Orleans, the convent, a Catholic convent where they had nuns and all of that in there, there are baby parts in the walls of the convent because it would have been awful to let public know that the nuns were coming up pregnant. So it appears as if the Catholic Church was pro-choice a hell of a lot before they were pro-life. Maybe the stories are fake. I don't know. Maybe you guys have heard something like that. But the nuns were being impregnated, and they didn't want anybody to know. So apparently there are skeletons of infants in the convent's walls. That is a story they tell folks. You can Google it. It's all over the internet and everything. I hope it's not true, but I wanted to bring that up. Looking in the comments, or better yet, we'll go straight back to the box and we'll keep it moving with Craig Smith has been holding there. I appreciate you guys. Tap the screen. You could be. Want to be on social media. The fact you're here is always an honor. Craig Smith, good afternoon.
What's going on, man?
I don't even know, man. It looks like the whole debacle in New York is a fizzle. It's not going to happen. But was there a reason to even fear MAGA to begin with?
I think so. I mean, look what they did in New
You,
York. Look what they
you're
did.
really low.
I said, look what they did in New York. You know,
You mean Washington
I mean
D.C.?
Washington. I mean Washington.
Yeah.
I mean,
But what about the idea that that was only a few violent bad apples, and that most of them were protesting peacefully?
there was only a few violent protesters doing Black Lives Matter, but
Yeah.
oh,
I
but
don't disagree with that. I
but
don't disagree with that.
you just said
So
you
go
just said
ahead.
something to me that made me think about something. You said you went on a tour at a convent in New Orleans.
I went on a tour. I was in the French Quarter. You get on the horse, you take the little horse carriage and they ride you around town and they show you different things. Well, they were talking about things in the French Quarter because that represented the original New Orleans. And like for instance, that one of the things they also brought up is that area when New Orleans first started in its early days, it was so religious that if you did not attend mass, you would be arrested and brought there. I have never heard that before, but they gave a lot of stories about the history of New Orleans.
Let me ask you a question. Did you plan to go on that tour?
I just wanted to know. I didn't know what the tour is about. I just, it was like we'll ride and talk to you. So I didn't plan it ahead of time. No.
I was getting at a point. You didn't take no bear spray or body armor or
No.
never on
No.
helmet, or you didn't climb up the buildings of the convent.
Oh, I see the point you're getting at. You're doing it pretty eloquently. No, I didn't expect a riot to happen in New Orleans.
And that's my point. Down in Washington, why did they come with bear spray? Why did they come with pipes? Why did they come with this? Why did they come with that? Ray Epps, did he bring a bag of bear spray and pass it out to everybody? It seemed like some of these people came prepared.
That's a really, really good point. That sounds like some shit I would say. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. That's a good. No, I didn't hear that though. I did see video of police being bear sprayed. Now the police themselves had spray and things like that. I believe the protesters were taking some of the weapons from the police, their shields, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I go on a tour, I don't jump on the tour guide. I don't go in unauthorized doors.
No, I don't jump and beat the tour guide's ass either. No, I
We,
actually gave him a tip.
you know,
That's funny though.
we follow the instructions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just common sense right there. I mean, I can't understand it, but I didn't want to talk about a whole lot of stuff. I just wanted to bring that point across since people tend to forget certain things. And another thing, when it seemed like you say certain things to people and they say, "Oh, I have never heard that before,"
Yeah.
and I'm saying,
Well, that's the best defense. That's the best defense. If you know your corner to say, I don't remember it. I mean, I guess that kind of would be the Stormy Daniels thing where I said, I never met her. I don't know what you're talking about. But I mean, it works. A lot of people do it. Right now, just yesterday, President Biden was cornered and asked, well, why the hell is so much Chinese money going to Hunter Biden and your family members? But that ain't happening. I mean, you always play dumb. That's what you do in the beginning until they start proving you wrong.
okay, now you made another point. You always play dumb. My son was actually on Air Force One when they asked Trump that question.
Really?
And he said you should have seen the look on his face when he denied it. He said all
Mm.
he was just turn around and walk back to his station.
Yeah, he put it on Michael Cohen. He was like, you need to ask my lawyer. He put it on Michael Cohen at the time, but now he's telling us Michael Cohen is is a sellout and he ain't the person to believe. But at the time when they asked him that on Air Force One, he was like, "You need to check with my lawyer."
Yeah, my son was
Yeah.
on Air Force One with Obama and Trump. He left after about 2 years after Trump, but he said you should have seen his face. It just looked like it went blank for a minute.
Damn. That's
Yeah,
a good gig. Damn, your son had a nice gig. A lot of nice pictures. Well, I don't know how many pictures he could take, but that's a nice gig, though.
yeah, he's actually going to Saudi Arabia next month. He's going to be a diplomat down there for a year. But
Wow. Is he was he Air Force at the time?
yeah, he's Air Force.
That's Air Force. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a great gig. Shout
And
out to him. Shit. That's doing things there.
yeah, he making good. You wouldn't believe how they put him up and stuff. But
Yeah, I
I didn't want to.
would.
Huh?
Yeah, I would. You're not gonna have a homeless person getting on Air Force One. Yeah, hell yeah, I believe they putting them up nice.
Yeah, even when Obama went to Korea, or who was that? Trump went to Korea, and they was on the top of that building that had all that, like a, I don't know, like a garden up there, or a swimming pool was on top of it. I think it was in Korea, someplace. But they put him up in a real nice place there. Now, you'd be surprised how our tax dollars is being
Yeah,
you'd be
yeah.
surprised. But hey,
Well,
man, I didn't want.
they are sending them to places where you can get kidnapped too. Now, keep that in mind. He
Oh
deserves
yeah,
a few bucks.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
he deserves a few bucks. All
All right,
right, Craig, I
all
got to
right,
move it on. But
all right,
that's the story I wouldn't mind hearing more about sometime.
all right, my brother. Take care, man.
Absolutely. Good talk. All right. Looking in the comments, Trump would be the only one they let near Korea. Why is that? In the comments, user said Trump would be the only one they would let near Korea. Why do you think that? Travel Lodge. No, you ain't go. You know, my dad used to work at the Travel Lodge. That's not a good spot for somebody at this level. They deserve to be safe and treated well. That's a dangerous job. Yeah, what was the ambassador that was killed in Benghazi? What was that guy? Stevens or something like that? Ambassador Stevens, I think his name was. Because they're both crazy. Looking in the comments here real quick before we go back to the box. Bragg really desperate to be the one Will Alvin maybe next. I don't get that. The grammar of that is so far off. Bragg really desperate to be one Will Alvin maybe next. That makes no sense. All right, let me keep going. Oddly, let me read something to you guys. I was about to go back to the box. TikTok sent your boy a message. Great job. Okay, thanks for the accolades. You've gone live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Am I bloviating too long on this live? That the actual app told me to shut the fuck up. What it says, you've gone live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Are we talking about something they would rather we not? Let me keep it moving in the box just to piss off the app. Probably get banned soon after that shit. It is DJ Magic Stick. Don't forget to take a break. I've never seen that. All right. Oh, they all do that. Okay. All right. I didn't know it says that. I've never seen that before. So thanks for cueing me in. Magic Stick, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
I don't know. I might need to take a break according to TikTok.
Now they're trying to control you, huh?
I don't know. They say it's on there every day. I've never seen it before. But what about you see what's happening in New York? Is that
Oh
something
yeah.
over nothing, or is there a real reason to fear Trump supporters?
No, because January 6th, all Trump supporters thought they were protected by Trump. They thought they were gonna get pardons and stuff. They did it knowing that because even Trump hit it on giving them pardons and all
Yeah,
that before all this anyway. He says if any of my people get in trouble, I'll get them out, and they were
yeah.
expecting that. They were when January 6th happened. Everyone there was like, "I don't care. Trump's gonna fucking pardon me. He's gonna let me go."
No,
Well,
so
now,
so in other words, they were acting thinking that they could enjoy no accountability.
because
Wow.
because just like Trump does everything without no accountability, so they're doing the same thing. But this time's different because Trump is not in control, so they're not gonna risk their livelihood now. They're willing to do it on January 6th, knowing that Trump was gonna pardon them. A lot of them
Let me,
people.
let me ask you this: if Trump was still in office, do you think the folks who were serving time for January 6th, you think he would let them out?
He would have DOJ give him weaker sentences. Oh yeah, he can't just let him go. He would yeah, DOJ would give him weaker sentences. They they
Mm.
they yeah. So that's why that will never happen again unless if the person's president. If the person's president and they're going to incite violence, they got to let these people know that hey, I got your back. And Trump, they thought Trump had their back, and
So
he
what
did.
you're saying, so based on what you're saying, and as long as Trump is not president, there really is no reason to fear a major uprising from MAGA.
No, because they're not going to put their family at risk, their children and everything, put themselves in jail, knowing that they ain't got no one to protect them. Trump can't protect them. He's not president. He don't have the power to protect them anymore. So they don't. You might get a one or two crazy persons, that don't have nothing in their life that they don't mind throwing away, but you're not going to get the big group you had on January 6th.
You know,
Unless
one
if
of
you
the things, and I hear what you're saying. One of the things I wonder, considering how many lawyers are hovering around Trump, he's got cases everywhere. It
oh
seems
yeah,
like he would have used a team of attorneys, paid them whatever, and said defend everybody that's getting charged for January 6th. Gave them free legal counsel. He could have got 5 or 6 lawyers together. That I mean, there are plenty of MAGA lawyers that would have probably did a lot of this shit pro bono, but got a team of lawyers and said anybody that's been arrested on January 6th, your job is to take their case. And that way it would have looked like he was supporting those folks. You got folks that are claiming they've been in there without even getting due process. And that Trump, other than singing the national anthem with them, have you heard that song that he
yeah,
sang with the protesters, the J6 choir?
yeah, I did. It's just see, but a lot of the MAGA people they realized when they were going through that Trump should have if Trump wanted them to do more, if he would have came out and say and he came out and says, yeah, I got DOJ and I pardoned everyone out on that field, they would have got really crazy because people. Not, or reason why not everyone went crazy because some people, even though they're MAGA, they still have some doubt that Trump's gonna protect them because deep down inside they know he don't always tell the truth. They might, when they talk to us, they're gonna say otherwise, but deep down inside they know Trump mm, don't tell the truth at all times. So it's no, and it's not gonna happen again unless, like I said, unless Trump becomes president, or you get another crazy guy that can wield the power of like Hitler to gather people, brainwash them, making them think he's the Almighty God. It will not happen again. So
So
even if
what if we get a second Trump administration? Do you think America would be better off? I mean, economically and things like that. Maybe the war in Russia would end. You think another Trump presidency would
so,
be good for this country?
the, that war in Russia started long before Trump and
True.
Obama.
True.
It
That
started
is
under
true.
it started under Bush Jr.
Yeah.
Actually, at the very tail end. Uh, Russia was
You're
they weren't
talking Russia. Yeah, you're talking about Russia going into Georgia in 2008, Crimea in 2014. Yeah, I get what you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
but
Russian separatists. It's basically Russia's troops that just act like they're Russian separatists. So I mean, Russia's been attacking Ukraine under Bush, Obama. The only difference is when Obama became president, he started giving Ukraine aid. Then when Trump got in office, he started cutting military aid. And then
yeah.
when Biden got back in, and I made a stitch on one of your videos about this. I don't know if you watched it yet.
No, I didn't. I didn't see that.
Yeah, where you was listening to Fox News, and the lady says, "Well, under Trump, this would have
You're talking
never
about Judge
happened."
Janine. Yeah, Judge Janine Pirro said that. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
if,
about.
if this was under Trump, it wouldn't happen. I was like, it already did. It was happening the whole time Trump was president. The Russia's been attacking Ukraine the whole time Trump was in office. He
Yeah.
was.
Well, the
It's
point
been
she's
going
trying to
on.
make is that it escalated under Biden. It escalated significantly compared to under Trump.
No, it's because Not really, because it's the same thing that just Putin came out and said that we at war. That doesn't change nothing. That they didn't even add no more troops because everyone in there decided to say, "Oh, we're not separatists. We're actually really Russian troops." So I mean, it didn't really change anything. He just threw it out there just to throw it at the West. This is more like towards the West, saying, "Look, I can say I'm at war with you now." But see, but it took all them years to see what our action is, because our action wasn't very strong under Bush or Obama or Trump. It was weak. Our action was weak this whole time. They're like, well, fuck, these people ain't gonna do nothing to me. I might as well just go say I declare war on them. So I mean,
Wow.
our action's been weak all these years. So Russia just said, screw it, man. They're not gonna do shit to me. I'm gonna just take him. I'm just gonna say it's a war anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So
You
based on
know,
what you're
so
saying, Russia greatly underestimated President Biden.
and he underestimated. Well, yeah, basically he. Well, a lot of people do because Trump's the only. I mean, Biden's the only president to say that he will defend Taiwan. You cannot get another president to stand up and say that. Trump wouldn't do it. Obama wouldn't do it. Bush wouldn't do it. Bush Senior wouldn't do it. Ronald Reagan wouldn't even
So
protect Taiwan. So I mean,
I gotta move it
yeah.
on, but let me end by asking you this then. What do you think of President Biden? You think he's done a good job?
I mean, when you're handed a turd like Bush did, like Bush handed Obama a turd, it takes a while to clean it back up. When you go, that's like going on a job and you're trying to you're filling someone else's shoes that fucked up the whole place, and you're coming in there like, oh my god, I gotta clean this fucking place up. It's a disaster. It's
So letter grade A, B, C, D, or F. What would you give the Biden administration so far,
I'm gonna give him a
halfway through his
B.
term?
I'm gonna give him a B. I'm gonna give him a B. Because
That's a but.
look at the Great Depression. It took FDR because you know what happened in the Great Depression? That Hoover deregulated the banks, and that's what
Okay.
caused depression. And that happened every time a Republican was in office. It happened under Reagan in '87. Before then, he deregulated banks. It caused the market crash of '87, and then it caused the market crash of 2008.
So
So I mean,
do you think Biden is the right guy going forward in 2024? You want him to run again?
yeah. The only problem is, see, under Trump, he deregulated banks in 2018, and the Republicans ran it through the House and Senate, and they deregulated banks. And Biden can't change that. He don't have enough people in the House to change that law. Might do executive orders. So this is not the end of these crises with these banks.
Yeah. I don't
This
disagree
is
with
not
that.
the end.
All right, DJ. I do got to move it on. You know, I always enjoy
All right,
talking to you, man.
all right, peace.
Absolute, absolute. Looking in the comments, sky high inflation, high gas prices, and other things. That has happened under President Biden. But I will, being able to call a spade, no matter who's dealing the cards, call a strike, no matter who the hell is up to bat. I'm not a fan of Armageddon politics, whether it's coming from the left or the right. And what I mean by Armageddon politics, if you put Obama in here, he's going to turn us into socialist Greece. If you put Biden in here, I think Venezuela's the country now that's failing. I don't believe in Armageddon politics. If you put Trump in, he's going to bring back slavery, that type of shit. Sky high inflation, yes. But nevertheless, if you look at what you're paying for the pump, you look at the inflation rates, what you're paying for goods and services in March of 2023 right now, it's not the same as it was in March of 2022. Not to say that things are not going great under Biden. I agree that we do have a high inflation rate. But it is not what it was a year ago. And pretending like it's still that bad is disingenuous. Things have gotten better. Maybe not where they were under Trump. Maybe we're not dealing with $2 a gallon gas. I get that. But pretending like nothing has improved is being disingenuous. Or, for instance, out of everything that has increased in price, the number one good that has increased in price is the price of eggs. So when you hear detractors of Biden being critical of his administration, guess what they bring up the most? Eggs, even though everything else you buy at the grocery store has not went up in price anywhere near that rate. Not to say that shit hasn't went up in price. Groceries do cost a lot more under Biden. But eggs have went up even more, particularly because of an illness affecting birds. But they're bringing up eggs as the primary target, not milk, not candy, not sugar. They're bringing up eggs because it fits an agenda. I just want to bring that up, that I'm not a big fan of Armageddon politics. You can point out the flaws of the Biden administration without trying to specifically target things and make it sound like that's everything. And that happens under the Trump administration as well. I pointed out to callers, even though I lean left, I point out when I think they're giving the man an unfair go. Many of you folks who watch the show know that I do that. Nevertheless, as always, this is indeed a lunch break live. So you know what I have to always do around this time? You could be anywhere you want to be on social media, and it is always an honor to have you here with me this time during the day. 56,000 likes, always a pleasure. 60,000 would have been better, but who am I to argue with 56,000 likes? We do look like we have staved off any type of disaster in New York. It fizzled out, never came to any type of head. Nevertheless, Trump didn't get arrested. So let's see what happens if he actually won't say taken into custody because it's going to be something really quick. But if they do officially indict the man, we'll see what happens. But right now, it all appears to be a nothing burger until the city of New York make its first move. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Catch you guys tomorrow.